Adam, Rosie, what's been your experience with blended family?
Well, they've coined it blended for a reason, because it's like one of our favorite authors in this area, and if you have a blended family, Ron Deal, anything written by him is a great help. But it's a blender of everything. Yeah. And blended family, you have all the normal things that Pastor Jay's been talking about for the last couple of weeks of where the normal arguments are, the male and female differences, complications in communication, all that exists. And then you have the chaos of the multiple direction families, and it's very easy to get wrapped up in the chaos of all that. But one of the greatest things that being a faith-based family, we are a blended family, if you don't know that. We've been married 27 years now. We were only, I married very, very young. Well, we got married at 23 and 24 years old. So our marriages were over before that. And so, okay. And so I married for life. I was raised in a church. Marriage was forever, and the disappointment that came with that in an alcoholic relationship that actually developed the day after we were married. It exposed itself. And was with him for 7 years, and a lot of damage was done in those 7 years. And so you have to really remember that you're bringing everything that you've experienced. You do that in a first marriage, but you also do it, the brokenness of the marriages, you do that in a blended family. So healing is really important. And to be on a journey, we've been on a lifetime journey of focused, God, deal with me. And it's why we've made it 27 years. It is the only reason we stay here married 27 years. And happily married. And still have some of the little creepy things that come from blended family rise up in our household as a unit. And that's the thing, blended families isn't just here. Matter of fact, in a lot of blended families counseling, this is actually pretty good until you add the triangle of relationships of a stepchild or a stepchild or the in-laws, the ex-spouse, or you have all these directional relationships that actually add the conflict. Conflict happens when there's a third involved in that. Even a job can bring that conflict, can be the third thing in there. And so one of the things that some of you came to our blended workshop that we did, and we had a panel with me and Adam and our daughters. And one of the things, in the midst of preparing for that conference, it hit me, one of the things was for Samantha, which is ours. She didn't grow up in a blended family, and that was my mindset. So a lot of times my mindset was what got in the way of being able to work through issues. And that mindset was, Sam didn't grow up in a blended family. She's got her parents intact. And in preparing for that, I realized how much she grew up in that blended family. She grew up being the middle of her relationship with her sister and loving her sister and me and Adam. And when we would get frustrated and all this stress would come up around every other issue, she was smack dab in the middle of it. And the tears you see is remorse. We can't change that. All we can do is help others through it and keep working on our own, because just because we made it 27 years doesn't mean that stuff does not rear its head. Satan uses it every chance he gets to bring it back and put it right smack in the middle of our house. Now what we have is tools on board to recognize it and recognize the ploy of the enemy. He's moving and he's trying to bring disunity in our house once again, and we handle it differently. The other area, and I'll pass it on, is where there's two big things I had to overcome in my mental perspective. Was when we got married, Adam adopted Kayla. Her dad became out of the picture and gave up his rights. And so Adam stepped in when she was 7. And one of the greatest things was, as Christ being in the center, us working very hard to keep him at the center and not ourselves there. In my perspective, was God's a miracle worker. He's going to give a bond between Adam and Kayla, just like Sam and Adam have. It'll be just like our daughter. Natural. And I hung on to that with faith that God could create that. And it caused problems because they're individuals and they're people. And Kayla had to grow in trust with Adam. Adam's been in her life since 3, and it was probably about 17 years old before I would say she actually was like, okay, I don't think he's leaving. 14 years of a relationship, because her dad left her. And so I had to release him, and there was power. The moment, it was like this aha moment with God to say, your expectation that you've put on them to have this normal bond is inappropriate. And so that day I released him. I'm like, I release you. And he's like, you release me from what? And I'm like, I release you from my expectation that your relationship with Kayla will look like yours and Samantha's. And you know what that did? It gave the power for him to go home and sit Kayla down and release Kayla from that. And that was one of those things in our life that just shifted our relationship amongst many.